Yo, what's up? I'm KallaTheYapper, and I'm back with another reaction, bro. I'm going to react to another Smack RB video. This one is The Harsh Reality Why. Wait a minute. The Harsh Reality Why Wuwa CCs Criticize Hoyo. There's a letter. No, there's not a letter. There's a word missing in this whole sentence. It should be The Harsh Reality of Why Wuwa CCs Criticize Hoyo. Grammar error. Negative points already for the video. Grammar error. He should have went back and fixed this. But I ain't about to clown up too much for that. Oh man, goodness gracious. I'm over here chuckling for no reason. Anyway, yeah, we're about to react to this video. And we're about to see just how valid this is. Because, like I said in my other reaction, there's a lot of Wuwa CCs who will criticize Hoyoverse for doing X thing, but simultaneously let Withering Waves get away with doing, if not the same exact shit they bitch about Hoyoverse doing. Case in point, releasing niche teams, and on top of that, releasing the support for the new DPS a month before the DPS comes. We've seen this. Them giving less rewards. Storytelling method, using the exact same storytelling method as Genshin, is really nothing new that they bring to the table, unlike Zenless, where they use comic book strips and so on. I can go the whole list down. The use of black screen, white text, Wuwa uses it, Genshin uses it, Star Wars uses it, and Zenless on Zero uses it as well. So, we can really get into that conversation if y'all want. Anyway, let's continue. Let's start.
You know, I see these comments underneath my videos all the time. People asking, why do Wuwa creators always have something negative to say about Hoyoverse games? You don't really see Hoyo CCs talking bad about Curl and Wuthering Waves. It's always the other way around. At a first glance, it almost seems like a one-sided drama. Like certain.
It actually is. And before we get into this whole thing, the only reason they do it is because they criticize Hoyo because they want their game to do better. I would say half of that, or rather 25% of that is true. The other 75 is that they just want to bullshit for like a bullshitting so that they can promote their game as, oh, our game is nothing like Hoyoverse, while simultaneously their game is becoming more and more greedy and just like Hoyoverse. Ain't it crazy, twin? Woo, it's wild. I mean, this video was a month ago. That means this was version either 2.7 or 2.6. I'm pretty sure it was 2.7. So it's like, are we for real?
Like certain Wuwa creators are just looking to throw shade at Hoyo, while Hoyo creators are just sitting back and not really engaging at all. But if you actually stop and think about it, there's a lot more going on underneath the surface. It's not just random hate, and it's definitely not as shallow as just we love farming. There are.
Believe me, it is that shallow. Again, 25% of it is valid, 75% of it is bullshit. Case in point, 2.7, the live stream and the content in 2.7, you, sir, as a Wuwa glazer now, you made a video talking about version 2.7 and why it was mid. Guess what? Coralbots came after you and you removed your video. Glaive Keo, when 2.7 live stream happened and the whole drama with CCs were going on, you didn't hear no Genshin CC talking about it. You heard Wuwa CC talking about it. And Glaive Keo didn't make a video talking about that at all. But he was quick to make a video talking about why it is that the Genshin player base is toxic. And I expected him to make a video talking about the Wuwa community acting pretty crazy over this 2.7 stuff. Guess what happened? He never made a video about that. He talked about everything else under the sun, but he didn't talk about that. I found that pretty convenient. But anywho,
there are layers going on underneath the surface. It's not just.
And not that, from the videos I've reacted to related to this whole Genshin versus Wuwa, this Wuwa creators criticizing Genshin, some of these shits have been so lackluster. Let me scroll through my videos. I'm not gonna scroll through it on the thing right here. Let me go through my videos that I've reacted to. Let me be fucking for real with y'all. Hold up. Let's go down the gauntlet. Most recent video with this whole Genshin Wuwa creators criticizing Genshin was this. This was 11 days ago. I reacted to this from the Nigerian perspective. He made a video comparing Avidius to Dainsleif. The comparison was already off base to begin with, and I got in depth to why it is that this comparison didn't make sense. And I went more in depth about other things as well that was talked about in the video. Let's keep it going. Next one. this isn't a Wuwa versus Genshin, but it was just more so just Wuwa CC talking about Genshin. This was about the quality of NPCs versus the quality of playable characters, where Glaive Keo is over here having a whole conversation that's already been had to death about why it is that a 5-star standard character, D-Luke, does not have the same quality look as an NPC that's come out 5 years later. Do you not know how dumb that sounds to tell her to bitch about that? Go watch my reaction and you'll get a better understanding. Let me keep going down the gauntlet. This is another Glaive Keo video that I reacted to 2 weeks ago, which was Wuthering Waves Elevated Storytelling. Right? There was some mention of Genshin in there. Let's keep going. What's another one? Let's see. This was another video made by the Nigerian Perspective. This was about NPC, the evolution of NPCs and the way they look versus how they was then till now. Homeboy was glazing Wuwa NPCs from top to bottom, yet he wouldn't recognize the fact that Genshin NPCs have a jump in quality as well, which I found to be a little dishonest for him not to go in depth about it. But he was going to he mentioned the 2 NPCs that came out 2-3 years ago of those 2 Adeptus, right? But he doesn't mention the Natlan NPCs. He doesn't mention the Nockrite NPCs. You feel me? Let's go downward even further. What's another one? Saint Tontas. Hold on, no, this wasn't anything about Wuwa versus Genshin. Never mind. This was just him bitching about Zenless on Zero Devs. What else? Shoot, even the video Smack RB made that I reacted to a month ago about why it's not even close comparing Wuthering Waves to all the Hoyo games. And I called out the BS that was going on in that video too. And even, again, a month ago, this other video where he was like, why I wish I played Wuwa sooner, which, let's be fucking for real, this man already played Wuwa sooner because Smackson RB already had posted Wuwa videos when Wuwa first came out. But then he switched up and was like, he removed all those videos and then started playing Zenless. And then he want to come back to Wuwa being like, oh, I'm fresh to this Wuwa scene stuff. Don't get me started with the fact that he got an account from someone else. He didn't build up his own account. And then, because I remember the whole thing about that related to Smackdown RB. Fox Soul showed clips and evidence of this. I think someone posted on my Discord about how he didn't even play Wuthering Waves or something along the lines. And I was like, yeah, this is cornball behavior. But anyway, yeah. So hopefully I illustrated my point that I was yammering about. Was there another video about Wuwa versus Zenless or any of the Hoyo games? I can't find one right now, but anyway.
Back and not really engaging at all. But if you actually stop and think about it, there's a lot more going on underneath the surface. It's not just random hate, and it's definitely not as shallow as just we love farming. There are layers of history and player experience as to why this dynamic even exists. So today, we're gonna break it all down and unpack the harsh reality of why Wuwa CCs, myself included, criticize Hoyoverse. And trust me, it's not just because we like to farm clicks or stir the pot, which, to be fair, I mean, that's an additive, but there's a real reason why this conversation keeps coming up. And by the
I'm gonna let him continue.
end of this, you'll probably start to see the full picture too. But before we get into this video, if you've been enjoying the content, make sure to subscribe and turn the notifications.
Also, another thing I see about these whole Wuwa comparisons and Wuwa CC criticizing Hoyoverse videos, there is a lot of dishonesty when engaging in the conversation that I've noticed. People will sit here and bitch about, oh, someone make a video talking about some, oh, look how well animated the body movement of Wuwa characters are. And then I'll play the same game. I'll play the game and I'll compare it to Genshin. I'm like, they're doing the exact same shit. They'll be like, oh, look how this NPC is being very animated on screen. Why is that happening where this 5-star character from Genshin doesn't have that? And then you'll have a character in Genshin be extremely animated on screen, looking crazy, aka Yehoda. Right? All this shit that I've been seeing over the course of the year. And it's like, some of y'all are coming into this conversation mad dishonest, which is why I don't take most of this whole Wuwa CCs criticizing Hoyoverse for everything Hoyoverse does seriously, especially when they can't even keep that same energy to their own game, when their game out here doing the same predatory practices and all this other bullshit. Let's be fucking for real. The fact that Wuwa players and CCs need to sit here and count up the amount of limited and standard pulls you get per patch just to say, oh, look how much generous our game is compared to Genshin, compared to Star Rail, compared to Zenless. I'm like, no, your game isn't more generous. It's average. The fact that you even need to count every single pull, including standard pulls, to sit here and say that, tells me all I need to know.
Turn the notification bell on so you don't miss out on any future videos. My community Discord server is pinned in the comment section down below for those of you that want to join. And just a small note here, I obviously don't speak for every Wuthering Waves CC here, but I'm just taking a good educated guess from mine and my smaller CC's friends' experiences. But without further ado, let's get into this. The first thing that we have to address, the overwhelmingly majority of Wuwa creators, I'd easily say 90% of us, came directly from Hoyoverse games. Whether it was Genshin Impact, Honkai Impact 3rd, Honkai Star Rail, or even ZZZ, most of us weren't just casual players. We spent years or months with these titles, grinding day after day, pulling for characters, chasing metas, spending money, and most importantly, building content around them. And it wasn't just playing a game for some of us. Hoyoverse titles were the starting point of everything. They were the foundation of our channels, the communities we built, and in some cases, our main source of entertainment.
For you, your main one was Wuthering Waves, not Zenless, but then you switched up and started doing Zenless content, acting like you didn't do Wuwa content before, which I found to be cornball behavior, honestly. If you were going to do Wuwa community content in the beginning, you should have kept it on your channel instead of like removing it. So, yeah.
Importantly, building content around them. And it wasn't just playing a game for some of us. Hoyoverse titles were the starting point of everything. They were the foundation of our channels, the communities we built, and in some cases, our main source of entertainment. If you scroll back far enough on some Wuthering Waves CC's channels, you'll probably find some Genshin guides or Star Rail showcases. That's how much those games shaped who we are as creators. That's also why the criticism you hear from us carries weight. It's not coming from outsiders who never touched the game or people who just hopped on Wuthering Waves looking for something to tear down.
I'd argue there's a great handful of people who are like that. I think I recently just came across someone someone mentioned in my Discord, someone was like, oh, this dude is talking about how good Wuthering Waves is, but he never picked up Genshin ever. But he's only talking about Genshin in passing or some shit like that, but he never played the game. So it's like, there are people who are doing that. So I disagree with this whole deal that no one's doing that. No. There are people doing that.
It's not coming from outsiders who never touched the game or people who just hopped on Wuthering Waves looking for something to tear down. It's coming from people who were once deeply invested in these games, people who cared so much we dedicated hours into sharing that passion with others. And that level of investment matters, because when you've poured so much time, energy, and sometimes money into something, you don't walk away with just strong opinions. If anything, the more time they've spent with the games, the sharper the criticism becomes when things don't live up to what they could be. And that's simply not hate. That's the voice of those who know the games inside and out and care enough to hold them accountable when others aren't. But here's the
True. I won't deny that. I'm someone who still plays the game. There's nothing that Genshin Impact has done that made me quit this game, because I'm invested to see where this story ends. That's my main core reason for why I keep playing. Man, I give my criticism when it's time to give criticism. I've said a lot of things in my streams where I was like, man, I want this change, I want that change, I want this change. And little by little, we've gotten a little bit of those changes, which are good. Is it the full ones that everyone wants? No, of course not. Is it the ones that people have been asking for the longest? No, not really. But that's still not enough to make me quit the game. Even some criticisms that people have given have been bullshit criticism. For example, when people say, oh, you need to spend money in order to traverse in Genshin, we know that's bullshit, because guess what? Genshin provides a lot of traversal mechanics in the game so that you don't have to spend money for said character to traverse. Case in point, the Saurians and Natlan characters. Both of these things do the exact same traversal mechanics. It's not one-to-one, obviously, right? But to sit here and be like, oh, you need to pull for those in order to explore Natlan is the biggest load of bullshit lie that I've seen people push when Natlan was out. Let us continue.
Games, the sharper the criticism becomes when things don't live up to what they could be. And that's simply not hate. That's the voice of those who know the games inside and out and care enough to hold them accountable when others aren't. But here's the harsh truth. A lot of us fell out of love with Hoyoverse's games. And it wasn't because we just randomly woke up and stopped enjoying the game, but because these games decided to derive from what made us enjoy them in the first place. Predatory monetization tactics is one of them. Let's not sugarcoat it. Hoyo has.
But okay, so if that is the case, you're playing Wuthering Waves that's also doing predatory business practice as well, where 5-star characters need their weapons where 5-star characters are being put into niche teams, HP inflation is happening in the game, and so on, so forth. If we're complaining about Hoyoverse doing this, where's that same energy for Wuwa? Is my question. When Wuwa drops the ball in his storytelling quality, where's those criticisms at? Oh, no one wants to talk about those? But we're going to keep saying, oh, look how bad Hoyoverse is, right? That's the problem I have with this conversation. When you see Wuwa CCs criticize anything Genshin do. It's like the pot calling the kettle black.
Has built a reputation for pushing gacha to its absolute limits. From insane HP inflation that makes you roll on new characters because they make your old ones obsolete, to banner mechanics being absolute trash, or making new units rely heavily on other premium units.
Banner units being... Wait, hold up. Let me go back to that.
Obsolete, to banner mechanics being absolute trash.
Banner mechanics being absolute trash. AKA 50-50. 50-50 wasn't a thing before Genshin came out. It's only when Genshin came out that the 50-50 thing was a thing. And then with the release of Wuwa didn't have a 50-50 on his weapon banner, meaning the weapon banner was guaranteed. But they still had a 50-50 when it came to its character banner. Then what happens? You have a Nanta, not gonna have gacha. I forgot what the other game said that they want. Oh, Tower of Fantasy, I think, is removing their gacha as well. And so like some of these new gacha games seemingly looks like they're going to be not having gacha in their games, which honestly doesn't make them gacha games anymore at that point. So we've been on, so in the grand whole history of gacha games right now, there has been a evolution, right? A turning point, if you will, if you think about it in the grand scheme of it all. Anyway, let's get back to it.
Makes you roll on new characters because they make your old ones obsolete, to banner mechanics being absolute trash, or making new units rely heavily on other premium units, or...
Again, this video was made a month ago, mind you. This was way after the release of KallaTheYapper and Shakona, who wanted premium units. A team that needed premium units. Zanny, Phoebe, premium unit team. Galbrena and Guijian, Wandering Swordsman. Again, another premium unit team. So, and it seems like Chisa is also going to be a part of a premium unit team as well when 3.0 drops. So it's like, we're complaining about Hoyoverse doing these things, but again, the kettle calling the pot black, we're not keeping that same energy for Wuthering Waves, is what I'm seeing here in this video. Granted, this video was a month ago, but all the things I've mentioned already happened months before this video came out, which is why I'm able to talk about it in depth, to point out the bullshit.
Or they have half their worth. Let's just say they've mastered the art of squeezing every last dollar out of their player base. And eventually, once you start to become more aware of this, it makes you less inclined to even support these games. On top of that, they have dev teams that don't really listen anymore. Time and time again, feedback just seems to disappear into the void. Whether it's quality of life requests, balancing issues.
Quality of life has been answered a lot. I would say Stara and Zenless has answered quality of life stuff way more than Genshin has. Genshin has been slow in the upkeep.
Or repeated calls for more endgame content. The pattern.
Repeated calls for more in-game content. Zillion Zone Zero has a lot of in-game content. Star Rail has a lot of in-game content. Genshin has about 3 modes of in-game content. So it's like the call for in-game content has already been called upon and answered, if we're being fucking for real here.
Whether it's quality of life requests,
balancing issues. Star Rail, bit of an issue. You got that, I guess you can say. Genshin is seemingly having that too as well. I'm not too sure. Someone who's more meta-headed than me can explain it more in depth in the comment section. Please do. Thank you. Now, what else was I about to say? Shit. Let's continue. Hold up.
Balancing issues or repeated calls for more endgame content, the pattern is the same. The community suggests, but the devs don't respond. Also, a lack of effort is creeping in, and now more than ever, there's this growing sense of stagnation. Rewards feel stingier, and updates don't hit as hard as they used to. For those of you who were there in the earlier years, it's painfully obvious when the passion starts to fade behind the development. So when people ask why Wuwa creators criticize
for people arguing that there's no passion behind some of these updates at all, or the rewards are getting stingier, please recognize the same thing happens with Wuthering Waves too. Wuthering Waves was lacking combat events for patches on end. The rewards are becoming less and less to the point that people are freaking having to count standard pulls as a part of their overall pull or amount of free pulls they get, so on and so forth. This is not an exclusive Hoyoverse thing. And on top of that, to say that Genshin in particular, especially with this framing, has Genshin, Star Rail, and even Zenless have lacked passion behind these updates is a pretty bold thing to claim, I would say. I said that there's no effort at all is being put into it, or a lack of effort. I don't fully agree with that. If it was a lack of effort, first and foremost, new playable characters would be looking like NPCs. And I don't mean that in the sense of, oh, the character design is boring. I mean, look how an NPC looks like. Now imagine the playable character looking just like that NPC. A lack of detail, a lack of polish. We know that's not fucking true. Now, limited time events are always limited time events. We've had a handful of good limited time events in Genshin. Granted, we haven't gotten permanent ones that stayed, which is something I'm wanting because Zenless and Star Rail does it. For Star Rail, lack of passion. I don't think there's been a lack of passion, especially knowing that they buffed characters. They've been giving out free characters as well from both the standard and limited variety, and even giving a free one every here and there. We've gotten a handful of free characters throughout this year of 2025, ever since Amphoria started. There's been a good quality in its story ever since version 3.2, I believe, is when the quality of Amphoria's story got better and better up till the finale. Genshin, Natlan was a bit of a mixed bag. There were problems here and there. A dip in quality. Then Nodcry comes, we jump back into quality. Been really good. Zenless, people have been claiming Zenless Season 2 is filler, despite the fact the story has been moving forward with the Phaethon siblings and their mission to find out what happened to their teacher, and that has been progressing actively in the story. So I don't know how people claim that it's filler. That's such a dumbass thing to say. Zenless has been answering a lot of the quality of life updates that people have been wanting. And on top of that, with version 2.5, we're getting even more quality of life and even more multiplayer, getting a free 5-star character, a change up to the gameplay of certain characters that are from the standard banner, like Soldier 11 and Grace. So it's like, I don't agree with this claim that there's a lack of effort. I don't agree with that fully. Now, are there aspects of some things that feel like a lack of effort? Yeah, sure. But the entire thing as a whole, I don't agree with that.
Of effort is creeping in, and now more than ever there's this growing sense of stagnation. Rewards feel stingier and updates don't hit as hard as they used to. For those of you who were there in the earlier years, it's painfully obvious when the passion starts to fade behind the development. So when people ask why Wuwa creators criticize Hoyo, this is it. It's not hate, it's simply disliking the direction these games have went down. And this is where I need to be crystal clear. Criticism doesn't equal hate. You Hoyo shows really need.
Of course, criticism doesn't equal hate, but if your criticism is bad faith, which I've seen you do with 2 videos I reacted from you prior to this reaction, no, sorry, bro. People will have every right to sit there and look at that and listen to that and think, what is homeboy talking about? What is he yapping about? Why isn't he going in depth about things he's trying to talk about? Why he's pushing a subjective opinion as fact? So, no, sorry, bro. That's not how that works. Now, are there Hoyo shows who are unreasonable when they hear someone's criticism? Of course, yeah, sure. But let's be honest. People like Saint Tondas and Glaive Kyo, who else? Who else is another Wuwa CC who's flagrant when they come down to their quote-unquote criticisms? I don't want to count Pharos, because Pharos, he's been pretty fair game when it comes to his criticisms, because he's criticized Wuwa and he's gotten pushback from Wuwa's community for his criticism, so much so that he was even called a beggar for wanting a free 5-star character for the Wuwa's anniversary, which should have been a big thing, but instead it ended up being a lackluster thing. Another thing that I know, there's other people who are subscribed to me gonna tell me other content creators and list them by name in the comment section of other Wuwa Glazers.
These games have went down. And this is where I need to be crystal clear. Criticism doesn't equal hate. You Hoyo shows really need to lock this into your mind. It's often the exact opposite. We criticize because we want these games to do better. We criticize because we've seen how great these games were when the dev teams actually locked in. Think about it. If we didn't
And let's be also add this, because he's not gonna add this because he doesn't think this is the case. This is also the case too. People like Saint Tontos exist. Some niggas bitch for the sake of bitching, just for the sake to bitch, not even because they want better. We've seen it blatantly with Saint Tontos, who is, in my opinion, I think is the face of the Wuwa community, and people hold him as such. Unfortunately, right? Right now, for example, Glaive Keo. Here's another example. Glaive Keo. He made a community post about the buffs that these Genshin characters are gonna have. You have about 5 of them are 4 stars. One is a standard 5-star, and the rest are limited 5-star characters. Glaive Keo made a post saying Genshin has locked these buffs behind quests. How do you feel about that? Immediately I had an issue with his post. The way he framed his posts with using the word locked it behind XYZ, immediately tell me what his position is on it, and then what type of response he wanted to get out of the community, especially his own community personally. When you go through the comment section of that post, there's a great deal of people saying, who the fuck cares that this shit is locked behind a quest? Play the damn quest and get it. Simple, easy peasy. Other people in the comment section are bitching about the fact they have to play a quest. So much more that they're exaggerating it, saying, oh, I gotta play a 6-hour quest to get this. They never stated in the live stream for version 6.2 that you need to play a 6-hour quest to get it. But people are pushing it to that level, right? So when I see people claim that, oh, Wuwa creators, we criticize because we want this game to do better because we know it can do better. Half of that, I would say half of that is true. The other half is just bullshit for the sake of bullshit. Let's be fucking for real.
We didn't care.
What makes it even worse is that the question that Glaive Keo gave wasn't, do y'all think these buffs are good for these characters? Or, oh, they're finally buffing these characters. How do y'all feel about these buffs? Right? It was nothing like that. He emphasized that they locked it behind the quest and said, how do you feel about that? That's purposely framing it to make it seem worse than what it actually is.
Because we've seen how great these games were when the dev teams actually locked in. Think about it. If we didn't care, we truly wouldn't waste our breath. It's way easier to just move on, cover something else, and never...
If we didn't care, we would just go on stuff and whatnot. Well, if y'all claim that y'all tired of these games and y'all tired of talking about these games, but y'all continue to talk about it, yeah, you're gonna give people the perception that clearly you must want to keep talking about it, right? Because I've seen people say this, bro. I've seen people be like, "Oh man, I'm tired of talking about these Hoyoverse games, this, that, and the third." Make a whole video complaining about, man, I wish things were back to normal where we can just talk about these stuff without like all this extra shit. Can we go back to those good times? And then they'll backpedal and go back to being like, oh, let me explain to you why Genshin is terrible, why Hoyoverse is the devil, and why fucking Coral Games and Withering Waves is God's gift to the world. And it'd be like, bro, what? I seen Captain Cabinets do that. I seen Ethan do it. I seen Pharaohs do it. It's like, bro, y'all clearly must want to keep yapping about these games. Don't get me started on the hypocrites who be like, oh, I'm going to quit playing this game, but then go back to playing it. Or reacting to content related to the game. Case in point, I think Mr. Gotcha Smack. He sat there and was talking about somehow it was immoral that they created a global passive for a character and said that he will no longer be supporting this game. He will no longer be covering it, this, that, and the third. Then, not even that long ago, he goes back to covering the game and goes back to talking about the game. And it's like, if you really stood about your business, you wouldn't be talking about this game, period. You won't even give them some type of attention because guess what? That's going to invoke someone in your audience to be like, you know what? Let me go check this game out for myself. Let me go play it for myself, see how I feel about it, right? That's what happens when you bring attention to something that you personally find morally problematic.
If we didn't care, we truly wouldn't waste our breath. It's way easier to just move on, cover something else, and never look back.
And let's be honest, half of these niggas cover it because, you know, views and clicks. Because there's monetization to be found in doing this. And before you say, no, it's not. Yes, the fuck it is. The fact that I see some of these comparison gotcha channels where they're comparing Hoyoverse to Wuwa when it comes down to like something as minuscule as, oh, check out the animation when a character walks in the sand type shit. And they're getting, what, 23K videos when they have, what, 10K subs, and it's like this is clearly telling me that there's monetization to be found in it. So it isn't even about whether or not you care or not. It's because there's monetization to be found in this. Now, if you are someone who does care and you do these criticisms, good for you. But let's not act like the other side of that doesn't exist.
Back. But another reason we keep talking about it, besides just wanting the games to get better, is because we're invested in the health of the gacha industry. Now, you all really need to listen up to this point that I'm about to make. Whether you like it or not, Hoyo sets the tone for the entire space. If they cut corners, everyone else thinks they can get away with it. If they abuse monetization, other studios will follow suit. We've quite literally seen it riddled within the gacha space. Why do you think we see the same Hoyoverse formula replicated in so many other gacha games? So when we criticize Hoyo, we're not just speaking for ourselves.
He says so many other gacha games. Most of these other gacha games don't get talked about or have any light any spotlight put on them, right? Ananta doesn't seem to be going down the Hoyoverse route. Withering Waves most definitely is, because Withering Waves is just Genshin Impact 2.0. Let's be fucking for real. And that was a company that people were like, oh, they're gonna be so much better than Wuwa. I mean, no, my bad. They was like, oh, they're gonna be so much better than Hoyoverse, but simultaneously they're doing the exact same thing people bitch about Hoyoverse doing that Kuro Games is doing. And but yet no one wants to talk about that. No one ever talked about it as things I mentioned earlier in this video. So yeah, I agree. There's some tone setting that happens, but there's also those that don't follow it as well, which we've seen with some of these new games that's coming out, where they're removing their gacha entirely, changing up how they monetize. Now, there was that one game that's monetization was freaking diabolical. Sora Stella or Stella Sora, something like that. Now that was crazy. I saw the monetization for that. That was terrible. It's way worse than anything Hoyoverse has ever done. Now, if you want to bring up spending events are only for people who are actually going to spend money. Niggas who aren't spending money aren't going to sit here and waste money on a spending event. Let's be fucking for real. Whether it be for a weapon skin or whether it be for a freaking summertime skin for a character outfit. If you're not willing to spend money for that, cool. But don't sit here and bitch about the fact that you couldn't get the thing. Because guess what? You actually chose not to participate in it. Because for whatever moral reason or whatever reason, it is what it is. Realistically, in the grand scheme of things, it does not affect you and your account. Especially if you don't have that character who needs that swimsuit, or if you have that character who wants that weapon skin. It is not a necessity.
For ourselves, we're speaking up for the wider player base that doesn't have a platform. Now, let's flip the script for a second. Why don't you see Hoyo creators returning the same energy toward Wuwa or Kuro in general? Why is this so one-sided? The answer is really simple. They can't. A lot of Hoyo CCs are under contract. They've signed NDAs, sponsorships, or affiliate agreements that literally prevent them from speaking negatively about the games. One bad take, and suddenly they're off the list for early.
They're under contract not to speak badly about another company's game? That doesn't make sense. Wouldn't it make more sense that they're under contract not to speak badly about the game that they are playing actively, that they're sponsoring, aka like Genshin? But even then, some of those contracts have been put into question, especially the one where people were mentioning about how Zenless Zone Zero devs were telling people not to talk about their game or whatever in a bad light, only to be found out thanks to Gacha Smack that it was like, no, that's not how that contract was. And he went in depth about why that wasn't the case. So this whole contract talk I put into question because even I've seen oh hold up. Sorry about that. Forgot I ordered food. My apologies. Let's continue.
Access programs, deny sponsorships, or even blacklisted. And even if they're not under contract, there's still the issue of audience retention. Most Hoyo CCs build their entire platform on the Hoyo ecosystem. If they start dropping critical videos, guess what happens? Their views tanks, their revenue dips, their community.
There's truth in that, but at the same time, I've seen them start criticizing Genshin. Brand Online, prime example. I've seen him make some criticisms for Hoyoverse here and there. Like, I've seen it, especially back during version 4 of Genshin. But since people didn't really watch that content, and because he mainly kept it to his Twitch rather than putting it on YouTube, people had this perception of him that he doesn't criticize the game. But he does criticize the game. I've seen it. And then he started being like, okay, let me be more active about it on my YouTube channel, which he did. Shoot, even I've given some criticisms of Genshin on my channel. Go check my, what was it? What was the video? My Hoyoverse, what was it? Cosmetic controversy and why Natlin dropped the ball for a lot of people. Those two videos, prime example of me criticizing the game, the Hoyoverse, and Genshin. I want to make another video criticizing lunar reactions, or how it seems that they're going about with lunar reactions, and the real issue of it. I still haven't made that video. Hopefully I can make it in the future. But anyway, yeah. And let's be honest, most people who stand by their criticism, they don't care about their views tanking, right? Because when we talk about views tanking, niggas talk about, act like that shit is dropping by like 90%. That shit only drops by like a little bit. That's all. Let's be fucking for real. They still make good videos that's making 2K view, not 2K, but like double-digit K views or 3-digit K views. They're still making good views regardless of the fact they gave criticism to the game. If you present yourself as someone who never gives criticism to the game, and then you start criticizing the game, then you're gonna see a dip, right? But if you've always presented your criticisms, whether it be in your live streams or some of your videos or even some of your reactions or what have you, guess what? You're not gonna see a dip.
Which came from hype, guides, and positivity, that all starts to leave. Take it from someone who used to cover ZZZ. I promise you, when I made the switch to Wuwa, a lot of my active following dipped out. So from there,
okay, he's not gonna be honest. Okay, I'm finding a little dishonesty here with how he just framed that. What happened was, you was making Zenless content. I know some of your videos are criticism videos. Hold on, let me pull up your channel on my phone, because I know you made some videos related to Zenless that you were, let's say, criticizing something about Zenless. Let me scroll back to a year ago, because I don't like how he's framing that just now. Okay, let's go back an entire year ago. Here's the video right here. Zenless Zone Zero needs to change this now. What was another one? The massive problem with Zenless Zone Zero bosses. That was from 11 months ago. Where's another one? There was another one. Support meta in Zenless is that's a criticism. The inevitable problem with skins in Zenless Zone Zero. How the Zenless Zone Zero community feels going into patch 1.5. I was wrong about Asher. Yeah, she's kind of da-da-da. That's not a criticism. Okay. Zenless Zone Zero is an alright game, but I want great. That's about a handful I found among your own videos. The real issue and the dip in views that you had wasn't because you was a ultimate glazer of the game from top to bottom. No. You did a dramatic shift in content that was out of the blue. It wasn't even something subtle. It was immediately dramatic because before you started glazing Wuthering Waves and acting like it was the greatest thing since sliced bread, you did 2 Star Rail videos. One was criticizing, the other one was saying how their story, Amphorius was their best story so far. Then every other video after that was nothing about Wuwa, the greatest thing ever. Oh, look at these Hoyo shills bitching about criticism. Zenless going bad. Wuwa, the greatest thing ever. Rip Hoyo. Blase blase. With only one, let's see, 2, 3 videos criticizing Wuthering Waves. Technically 4 if I count that 2.7 video you made, but then removed because Coral bots got on your ass and told you to remove your shit because you folded to the bots, to the shills of Wuwa's community for daring to say that 2.7 was mid. So 4 videos out of all your videos where you're sitting here propping up Wuthering Waves as the greatest thing since sliced bread. Again, go check out my reactions to his videos. You'll see what I'm talking about. So no, that's not what happened. You didn't just get this dip in views out of nowhere. You did a dramatic shift in content. And now that from the views that you were getting from your videos, these all look relatively around the same range as each other. There's no video on your channel that I'm seeing right now that's ever went to something like 30K. Oh, look, here we go. The first video that you ever made talking about why Wuthering Waves is the greatest thing since sliced bread. That thing is pushing 40K views. After that, there was no other video that you posted reaching that number of 40K. Your views went back to the standard views that you would normally get on your videos, which is around 4K to 10K. Right? So I don't know where this dip in viewership happened with your content. Your viewership looks the same. If anything, it exploded upward because of you going down the route of Hoyo bad, Wuwa, the greatest thing ever.
Used to cover ZZZ, I promise you when I made the switch to Wuwa, a lot of my active following dipped out. So from their perspective, staying silent or overly positive isn't just safer, it's survival. And honestly, that's something that you've got to deal with. When your livelihood is tied to one game and one company, speaking out becomes a massive gamble. We've seen it with Brand Online. We saw a bit of it with Box 2. These are prime examples right in front of your face. But here's where it creates this weird double standard in the community. On one side, you've got Wuwa CCs openly criticizing Hoyo because we've already broken away from that ecosystem. We have more freedom to call things out without risking our platforms. And on the other side, you've got Hoyo CCs locked into silence, either by contract or fear of losing their audience. And when you put these two together,
from the CCs I've watched, I've seen them actively criticize the game. Again, I don't believe this to be true, especially me when I mainly play Hoyo games. Right, on my channel. I mainly play Hoyo games, but I'm not afraid to give criticism when criticism is due. Yeah, I don't have these big, massive followings on my account. That's true. But like, excuse me. But like, even if I did, because I got a job outside of this, I do this shit for a hobby. I can understand fearing for the drop in viewership, but the drop in viewership is not going to be some grandiose drasticness, I believe. But if you want to go down the route of Hoyo bad, Coral good, then do expect a drop in that content because now people are like, okay, so we're going to be a little dishonest. We're going to be a little flagrant, a little over dramatic. Case in point, St. Tontas.
in that ecosystem, we have more freedom to call things out without risking our...
No, I think we need to say this. Brand Online didn't really post much criticism about the games. He stated it, but he never posted much about it on his channel because the main thing he wanted to do was just have fun, right? Which is why most of his video and his content is fun. And he's done a shift in his content as well, where Brand Online, he's not just solely pumping out Genshin videos all the time on his channel. Now he's diving into other things as well. And it's been an objectively good thing for his channel. Actually, let me search up his channel on my phone right now. It's been a while since I watched some of his content. But let me check out his channel right now. Funniest Genshin Impact memes. Wuthering Waves 2.8 story is a beautiful tragedy. Things have changed. 6.2 looking insane. The hidden gem of where winds meet. Genshin Impact funny videos or best Genshin videos. 2.8 Wuthering Waves doesn't need saving. The 2.8 proves Wuthering Waves doesn't need saving. Dual Knight Abyss review pissed me off. Arknight's Infield new game, first look at beta 2. Wuthering Waves cooked again. Granted, the viewership that I'm seeing on his videos, especially when he started doing his shift in his content, majority of this stuff is still Genshin content, but there's standouts that's not Genshin content at all, and it's just other content related things, right? He's getting 60 to 70k views, and then he's getting around 20, 30, 50, 40, 60 views for other things as well. So it's like his content looks pretty fine. Now, for the views on certain videos that explode in high mass, let's say hitting 100k views, that's because new content has dropped that's really big. Like, for example, 6.0, when it dropped, Acts 1 and 2 were really good. Look at the viewership on his channel. That nigga got 135k views 2 months ago, playing Act 2 of Luna 1. Then he had a real talk about Genshin Impact, not Cry. The viewership on that video, 48k, my bad. So his views fluctuate within a good realm. Like most of his videos, views on his videos don't dip underneath 20k. Most of it stay within 20k and higher. As I'm scrolling through his videos right now. But again, most of his content isn't like, oh man, I gotta criticize Genshin Impact every damn thing that it does. Right? Most of it is like, I'm going to enjoy the content that's here. And if I got something that I need to criticize, I'll say what I need to criticize, and that'll be it, and we move on. Which I think is an objectively good thing. Not every video that a Genshin content creator needs to pump out is nothing but a criticism video. Because, honestly, that's what it starts feeling like when Wuwa CCs keep bitching about Genshin or just Hoyoverse as a whole. And then they clown on the fact that, oh, our player base accepts criticism when we see that, no, they don't. And then people have this perception of, oh, man, these Genshin CCs or these Hoyoverse CCs are fake in comparison to the Wuwa CCs. And it's like, not every video that someone needs to pump out, especially if they're a Wuwa CC, or not Wuwa, but if they're a Hoyoverse CC, or a Gacha CC who plays Genshin or Starro or Zenless more than Wuwa, they don't need to pump out every damn video that needs to be a criticism video. Not every video needs to be like that. You should have one-off videos that's like that, or have like about 2 or 3 in the mix of all your other good videos that you're like, oh, I'm enjoying myself, this type of video. So it's like, I don't fully agree with this idea that that they can't do it or they won't do it. It's like, it need to be done in a certain type of way. Yeah, there are CCs who probably won't ever do it because they don't feel like doing it. And whatever. My bad. I think I sort of lost a little bit of my point that I'm trying to make, but hopefully y'all understand what I'm saying.
But here's where it creates this weird double standard in the community. On one side, you've got Wuwa CCs openly criticizing Hoyo because we've already broken away from that ecosystem. We have more freedom to call things out without risking our platforms.
Well, that's not entirely true, especially what happened with version 2.7 and 2.8.
And on the other side, you've got Hoyo CCs locked into silence, either by contract or fear of losing their audience. And when you put these two together, it looks like Wuwa creators are just haters constantly punching up, while Hoyo creators are above it all. But the reality is way more complicated. One side is free to speak, the other simply isn't. Whereas things on
That's not true.
the Wuwa side are completely different. From what I've experienced so far, if you criticize Wuwa or Kuro in general, as long as it's valid and not misinformation, everyone can get around it.
Oh, but when people criticize Hoyoverse and do that exact same shit of spreading misinformation or give an invalid criticism, people take it as, oh no, these are valid criticisms, when they're not. I've seen it blatantly.
A lot more understanding than the Hoyo audience, because just like a lot of us CC,
saying that they're more understanding than the Hoyo audience is by far the biggest load of bullshit. Please explain to me, how is it that Ryuku Sensei made a video a couple months back talking about what Wuwa needs to do when it comes down to echo farming and all that other shit. Then saying Totash reacts to it and then try to invalidate his critique of the ecosystem and things that it needs to do to improve it. Like, huh? What? And then guess what? His audience follows behind him and be like, oh look, your take is bad, this, that, and the third, or this is invalid. Boom. Like, come on now. To sit here and say that the whole Wuwa player base are more understanding is by far the biggest load of bullshit I've ever heard. Especially with the shit they've been doing recently. No, they are not. They are not as this great understanding group as you're claiming them to be. No, they are not. The group that you've encountered is understanding, but let's not act like the parts of it, the bots of the community, don't exist and don't bring about toxicity and other bullshit with them and this shill behavior where they defend their game from criticism, as I've seen them do when it comes down to the anniversary, as I've seen them do when they sit here and let it slide with, again, niche team building that they'll bitch about Hoyoverse doing, but they won't keep that same energy for Wuthering Waves. Wuthering Waves is becoming more and more greedy as time is passing on, but no one wants to admit that. But they want to keep talking about how greedy Hoyoverse is. The day Wuthering Waves does a spinning event, oh wait, that's right, they did do a spinning event, but people don't want to talk about that, but they want to talk about a spinning event in Zenless and in Star Rail, and look how bad that is. Come on, let's not do this bullshit.
The audience doesn't want to see their game go down the same path as Hoyo. This isn't just about YouTubers throwing shade back and forth. It actually matters for the future of the gacha industry. If creators don't feel safe speaking out, then companies like Hoyo get away with whatever they want. There's no accountability, there's no incentive to improve, and the players are the ones to suffer. That's why it's important for Wuwa CCs and other non-Hoyo creators to be loud, because someone has to be. Someone has to push back against predatory systems, against lazy development, against ignoring the player base. If we don't, who will? At the end of the day, healthy criticism benefits everyone. If Hoyo listens, improves, and raises their game, guess what happens? The entire industry levels up. Other games within the industry, they all get better because the bar gets set higher. But just to end this off on a personal note, one thing I've learned from my time covering Zenless Zone Zero is to treat every step as a learning lesson. Back then, I made the mistake of tying my entire brand to just one game. My content, my growth, it all lived and died by that single game and how it performed. And because of that, I used to hold back on criticism, afraid that saying something too negative might hurt the channel or upset the community, but I don't operate like that.
Well, that is a fault on you, obviously. If I was only making Genshin content on my channel, I'd sprinkle in a criticism here and there just so people can know and understand that, yeah, as much as I do enjoy the game, I do have my gripes about it and I do have my criticisms about it. That's what people should be doing when they do this gacha content shit or just any content related to any game. Don't just pump out. And I'll say this for anybody who wants to start doing YouTube, whether it be hobby or as something that you want to make as a career. If you're going to make content related to one game, make both criticism videos and videos appreciating the game and the community that's formed around it. And of course, criticizing the community as well when they act outlandish or when the game act is outlandish and being bullshit. That's what I would advise people to do, because I stand by that. If I didn't, why in the fuck did I make a video criticizing Natland and why people had a gripe with it? My bad. And why people had a gripe with it and why, you know, so on and so forth. Right? Oh, shit. Anyway.
Like that anymore. No more being boxed into a soul game. No more holding back criticism. Now I see criticism as a part of the job. It's not hate, it's honesty, and it's how we grow, both as creators and players. And if I see that within Wuwa, once I make it further along into the end game, you best believe I'll call it out. I highly encourage other...
This video was a month ago. Why didn't he call out the community's behavior when 2.7 happened? Where was that video? Why did you remove it? If you're all about this criticism thing, where the fuck is that video? Why was you a chump? Why did you act like a chump and not upload that video? Where is it?
Other current CCs and even aspiring ones to take the same approach. Don't pigeonhole yourself. Don't silence your own perspective just to play it safe. Diversify.
It is crazy to hear him say this while simultaneously he removed his video talking about why 2.7 was mid. If you really stand on the shit that you're saying in this video from a month ago, where the fuck is the 2.7 video of you criticizing it?
Your content, speak your truth, and build a brand that reflects you rather than just one title. In the long run, that's the healthiest way forward, and in my opinion, it's the best way to go. So the next time you see a Wuwa content creator criticizing Hoyo, don't immediately write it off as hate. Look a little bit deeper. Actually use your brain for a second instead of instantly blindly protecting your favorite game or company. More often than not, it's coming from a place of genuine care. And that's the harsh reality of why Wuwa CCs criticize Hoyo. But at the end of the day, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you agree or disagree with this take? Make sure if you're new here, like the
I think I said everything I need to say in this video. I know some of my points I got into a yap and rambled a little bit. My bad. Forgive me for that. Like, sub, turn on notification bell. Join my YouTube community Discord if you want. Go check out my yap reactions and my yapping topics videos. Go check those out. I'm close to 400 subs, so for any new subscriber, go hit that sub button for you, please and thank you. Your support is very much appreciated. I live stream my gameplays of these Hoyo games and Wuthering Waves, and of course some non-gacha games, which I will be streaming really soon, hopefully this week. And yeah, I think that's all I need to say. Like, sub. Oh wait, I already said that already. What else do I need to say? Nope, that's it. This is KallaTheYapper signing out. I will leave a link to his video in the description below, so you can go check out this video for yourself and give it your own view, your own like, and whatever. This is KallaTheYapper signing out. Peace.